September 15th, 1916. Tanks are used in battle for the first time, throwing millions of horses out of work. Welcome to The Revisionists. I'm Brian Flynn.
I'm Zach Powers.
And our guest is returning favorite, one of the funniest people anywhere, Rachel Weeks, everyone.
Hi. Thanks for having me back, guys.
Thank you for coming back.
Yeah.
And We're talking serial killers. It's my fave.
I know. I didn't mean to pigeonhole you as the serial killer person.
That was the first time in a long time I think Brian kind of fucked up the intro right off the bat.
I know.
I had to take it again. It's a throwback to the old episodes, before the people said we sold out by having a Patreon where we get $2 a month.
How to put words together in a coherent sentence. Fucking sellouts.
Losers.
Also a unique episode because we're recording later than usual here in Chicago. It is past 9 o'clock. And in fact...
Sorry, just the lead up to that made it seem like you were going to say much later in the evening.
Well, it's dark. It's generally not dark when I do this. And in fact,
we're doing
tomorrow night...
Yeah.
I kind of wish it was a late record tomorrow night because tomorrow night is the 130th anniversary of the first Jack the Ripper murder.
Oh.
Yeah, although the body was found in the small hours of August 31st. Spoiler, we're recording this one in advance. Hey, but by the time you hear it, it'll be 130 years since the late summer of the Ripper, that spree that took England by storm. I guess I should say, if you're new to the show, what we do is we look at an event or a person from history. One person gives the true, or what is commonly taught to be true, account of that person or event from history. And another gives the perhaps more true or perhaps entirely fabricated bullshit bananas, cyborg, Animal House hijinks version of that event.
That you put Animal House next to cyborgs was insane to me.
Yeah.
I would watch Animal House cyborgs, though.
Actually, yeah.
For sure would.
If it was like Animal House versus RoboCop.
Oh my god.
Yeah.
And it was just Murphy shooting everyone in Animal House.
It's not fair that the robot fraternity gets the better grades than everyone else.
Besides, I think we all know, famously, Joseph Campbell said, there are only two stories, cyborgs and Animal House.
Yeah, in the Bluto's journey.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Regardless, at the end, we vote on whether... We vote between the Animal House and the cyborg, between the real and the fake, on which becomes the true history of this big, bright blue marble... going just forward, but right now, ornate. Because it is the dark times, it is a black marble full of fear and serial killers, because once again, we are talking about a Jack the Ripper with our fourth and final suspect for our Jack the Ripper miniseries. I think after you listen to this episode, voting should be open to everyone, not just our subscribers. So consider this your 7th and 8th option for who might be Jack the Ripper.
Yeah, so listeners, stay tuned to the end of the episode for instructions on how to vote. But I'll be doing the actual history of our subject, Mr. Aaron Kosminski.
Right, and that means Rachel has graciously come up with an alternate version of Mr. Kosminski's story.
Got it. It's my first time doing the alternate history.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah, I've done
weird, right?
It is weird.
Yeah. Not to give too much, not to pull the curtain back too much.
Making up history like I'm a white man or something.
God damn it.
I guess if there's no further ado, no further old business, I guess.
No,
I mean, the
think-
entire podcast, in some regard, is old business. But
love it. Well, maybe a quick recap of James Maybrick.
I guess that makes sense. Right, James Maybrick was our last contender. The real story was
The weirdest
that
game show of all time.
Yeah, it's basically What's My Line, except they're all serial killers.
Now, the real story of Mr. Maybrick was that he was some kind of arsenic addict who married an 18-year-old and then died of arsenic poisoning, and his wife got blamed for it. And then later a hoax happened.
Yup.
Okay, an alleged hoax happened where his diary was found and revealed him to be Jack the Ripper, and it was probably bullshit, but maybe not.
Does arsenic cause delusions of grandeur?
Yeah. I feel like my feeling was that the diary was written much later and fabricated, and Maybrick never wrote a word of it. But I could be wrong.
Delusions of murder? Huh?
Just the glint in your eyes. Also, I like to imagine they found a page in there that just had a heart and James plus arsenic written in it.
Yeah.
Love that arsenic.
The alternate version was... I'm trying to recall. What was the alternate version, Brian? Help me out here.
That James Maybrick was one of the... I'm trying to remember the name of the alien race. The ones who weren't lizard people.
Reptiloids some Noid.
Altoids.
Yes, Altoids, the fresh maker. James Maybrick was the fresh maker.
Curiously fresh. Or whatever it is.
Curiously
strong. Curiously strong. That's worse.
Yeah, much worse for Jack the
Very scary alien.
Who went around tracking his lizard people enemies, and his scorned wife followed him, finishing them off.
Right.
And that
behind every great man
is a woman doing the actual work,
murdering everyone in his wake. Yep.
Thank you to Bridget Callahan for that.
Should we briefly, since it's the last one, talk about as briefly as possible the other 4 options? John Montague Druitt was a sad idiot who killed himself and then got blamed. And then got blamed for the murders.
He got blamed for his own suicide?
Yeah, he just happened to kill himself at about the same time the murders stop, and that's about where the evidence ends in my recollection.
Yeah, more or less.
He was just a sad
He also got
boy.
fired from his job for, mysterious reasons.
Well, there were about 4 cops in all of Britain at the time.
Right.
And they were all arsenic addicts.
Yeah, just wasted.
The alternate version, I think Druitt was still innocent in the alternate version, if I remember correctly.
Yeah, there's a skateboarder named Rad Tony.
Yeah.
All skateboarders
Yep.
are named Rad Tony.
Skateboarding, not a crime.
Nope.
But most skateboarders, serial killers, it turns out.
Good to know.
Yeah.
Tony Hawk. I can't think of another skateboarder.
When I first moved to Denver, a guy skateboarded past my house with a gun. That's true history.
Like brandishing
That's just true.
it, or just
I just had a gun, just like he was clearly holding a gun on a skateboard. It was like, if you don't have a car, you don't get a gun.
Yeah,
I feel like you gotta.
Yeah. Like a Ford Focus is relatively cheap, I feel like, at a certain point.
Well, that's what I drive, so...
Well, take it from
it
me.
is
Someone
accurate
who
to
owns
say
a
it's
2003 Corolla.
Yeah.
All right, while we're all bragging, Jesus.
Yeah, I don't want to pull the curtain back on our listeners on what we're doing with those big Patreon bucks. But, regardless, so Rad Tony was the killer in that alternate history. And then the following episode, we talked about Francis Tumblety, who was an eccentric, possibly gay man who was deeply misogynistic and a fake doctor, and who had a couple incidences of violence.
Also.
Yeah.
By the
porn
canal.
peddler.
Yeah.
Had at least some impetus to be a suspect in this particular series of killings.
I mean, honestly, it was enough if they had syphilis. Like, that was kind of all they had to go on. They're like, this guy has syphilis. He's a suspect.
Yeah, syphilis has a little cameo in my story.
Yeah, I believe that.
Well, syphilis has a cameo in every story that takes place in the 1880s,
Yeah.
whether it's mentioned or not.
And every single Marvel movie.
Yeah. If you look hard enough, it's like Superman in the Seinfeld episode. Syphilis is always in the background.
Yeah, that's what the S on his chest stands for.
Syphilis.
And in the
People are
alternate
less
Tumble
excited
Tea,
to see him.
and the alternate take on Tumble Tea had a series of accidents in which he accidentally killed each of the 5 canonical Jack the Ripper subjects.
That's great.
While trying different professions, and then also actually killed about 10 other people on purpose.
That's hilarious. I love that.
Hey there, this is Brian, reminding you that The Revisionist is supported by listeners just like you. You can make a pledge and get rewards like shirts and even the right to vote over at patreon.com/therevisionists. I'm going to try to go through this because there's a lot of shit, but feel free to interrupt. I don't know why I said that, because that's just what we always do. In 1910, Sir Robert Anderson, who was the assistant commissioner for the Metropolitan Police, releases his memoir, which is titled "The Lighter Side of My Official Life," wherein he discusses the Jack the Ripper killings. So
the lighter side of my official life is like, I want to read the darker side of your non-official life, where that book is so much better. Like, you keep the lighter side in the bathroom, you keep the darker side just on your actual, like, nightstand. So what's your unofficial life like that? I'm on board. Yeah, it's like that 80s sitcom, My Unofficial Life. In the memoir, he says, and this is a quote, just heads up, anti-Semitism plays a role in this story.
Again, like syphilis, there's a cameo by anti-Semitism in every story that takes place in the 1880s.
And up through the 2018s.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So
it kind of had a supporting or recurring role for a while, I feel like, for about 2000...
Yeah, it was
8 or 9.
It was off working on another series, yeah.
But in 2016, got promoted back to series regular.
Huge comeback.
Yeah, now it's an EP, actually.
Yeah.
Silver screen star. Anti-Semitism.
Find it.
Yeah, they call it the anti-Semitizance.
I'm proud of you for that one. You did it. It was a long way, but you got there.
You just put your head down and powered through. So in his memoir, he says, quote, "I'm almost tempted to disclose the identity of Jack the Ripper, but no public benefit would result from such a course. In saying that he was a Polish Jew, I am merely stating a definitely ascertained fact. I will merely add that the only person who ever had a good view of the murderer unhesitatingly identified the suspect the instant he was confronted with him, but refused to testify." So, in his memoir, Anderson never names the suspect, but he gives a copy to one of the investigators on the case, Sir Donald Sutherland Swanson.
Ooh.
So not Donald Sutherland, but Donald Sutherland Swanson, which is less cool. And so later on, it was found that Swanson...
But is there a relation, is the question. Is this man the great-grandfather of everyone's favorite, Kiefer Jack Bauer, the Keefs?
Wait, is Kiefer Sutherland related to Donald Sutherland?
He's his son.
Yeah.
Oh, shit. Okay.
Kiefer Sutherland is not hot enough to get a career on his own. Daddy pulled some strings.
I don't know. Lost Boys, he was pretty good.
Still not that handsome, though.
No, that's.
I think you're falling into controversial territory. I think there's some people, particularly a little bit older than us,
I'll fight people on that.
Who were into him in Lost Boys Stand By Me era.
No, they were into earrings. Everybody was into earrings. It was not about Kiefer Sutherland. It was about the fact that he could hang from his toes and he was blonde.
Yeah, that makes sense. So in 1998, it was found that Swanson had written some notes in his copy of the book, and among those notes was the name Kosminski. So Aaron Kosminski was born in Kłodawa, Poland in 1865, and his family fled pogroms in 1881, eventually settling, most of them anyway, in London. He worked as a hairdresser, and he lived right in the heart of Whitechapel, where all the murders took place.
So, because he was a hairdresser, he had access to blades.
Mm-hmm,
that's puzzle piece number 1.
And of course, had scissor hands.
Yeah.
And
that's going on my resume.
I mean, honestly, I really like Johnny Depp for these crimes. Because fuck him. In 1885, police detained Kosminski as he was showing signs of mental illness.
Was that intentionally referring to the fact that he was in that From Hell movie?
Oh, he was. I forgot about that. Well, it was like Ian Holm who played the killer in that movie, who is not the actual killer, so we're not going to be discussing him in any depth.
Episode 5 is not Ian Holm?
I feel like episode 5 is... Yeah, no, not Ian Holm, not Bilbo. He was first committed to an insane asylum by his family sometime around then, 1885. Not to diagnose someone, he showed signs of paranoia and schizophrenia, like he experienced auditory hallucinations in particular. So at some point after the killings, February 1891, he's committed to Colney Hatch Insane Asylum, which is a name I only included because it's very British.
Yep.
It's very British, yeah.
Laughably British, that name.
Speaking of very British, in 1919, he dies of gangrene. So there are only 2 people known or believed to have ever witnessed Jack the Ripper in action. A man named Joseph Lawand and a man named Israel Schwartz. Lawand saw the 4th victim, Catherine Eddowes, going off with a man shortly before her murder. The other witness, Israel Schwartz, is almost certainly the man who identified Kosminski as Jack the Ripper. So, according to Schwartz, around 12:45 in the morning of September 29th, he saw a man stop and talk to a woman who was standing in the gate of Dutfield's yard. And Schwartz would later emphatically insist that that woman was Elizabeth Stride, the 3rd canonical victim. The man was 5'5", late 20s or 30, dark hair, and a small, neat mustache.
Really makes you think, like, why haven't I accomplished anything by age 30 when this guy was already a super famous serial killer?
Yeah. Well, I mean, there's nothing the only thing stopping you is yourself and the law.
That's true. I got a few more months between 31. He could do, you know what? If he could do it in 3 months, so can I.
Okay. The man was built like a manual laborer and seemed to be drunk. The man tried to pull Stride into the street and she screamed. And this is sort of the most fucked up part of the whole story to me. Israel Schwartz, believing that he was witnessing what he described as an incident of domestic violence, crossed the street to avoid getting involved.
That makes an appearance in most stories throughout history as well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Just like the syphilis thing inspired Superman and Seinfeld, that inspired the finale, that disappointing finale where they all go to prison for that bad Samaritan's law.
So when he's crossing the street, Schwartz saw a man standing on the side of the street smoking a pipe. And as Schwartz passed him, the man attacking Elizabeth Stride called out to the other man the word Lipsky, which seems like a name.
Seems like it.
Yep. And at that point, the second man began to follow Israel Schwartz. Schwartz ran and managed to lose the man. He described him to police, who then apparently eliminated that second man as a suspect, though no one's ever been sure as to why. Part part of the reason no one's ever sure of this shit is that at certain points, different police officers removed case files from the Jack the Ripper file, either for safekeeping or to take as souvenirs, or some people allege to protect the identity of the killer. And also, most of the rest of the records were destroyed during the Blitz. So there's actually not that much official shit to go on. Donald Sutherland, in his notes, says that the witness and the suspect were both Jewish, and that while the witness identified the subject in the interrogation room, he refused to testify because he didn't want the execution of another Jewish person on his conscience. Which, who knows if that's actually true, or a little bit of anti-Semitism working its way into the story. But this is also Whitechapel in the 1880s, and Jewish migrants, primarily coming from Russia. Their population had been increasing over the 1800s. By 1914, 90% of all the Jewish people in England lived in Whitechapel and a couple of the neighborhoods around it. And
I feel like as a Jewish person, I think, especially at this time period, you might have some motivation to not testify something that would increase anti-Semitism in an already deeply anti-Semitic, time.
Which, that's not wholly unreasonable. But it could also be a thing that is used to inflame anti-Semitism at the same time. Yeah.
Right.
So,
if one's a serial killer, they all are. It's what synagogue is. Yeah, ripping guts.
It's ripping guts.
Yeah.
Fortunately, we've come a long way, and no one would infer that about, I don't know, any group of immigrants from anywhere nowadays.
Oh, never. No. Racism's gone.
Nope, that's true. We took care of it with Wild Wild West.
Yeah, I think it was. I was going to say Remember the Titans, but maybe it was Wild Wild West.
Oh my God, I want to Remember the Titans, but with Jews, with the Jews and Israelites. They just play football together, and everything's fixed. And they're so good.
And they just have a goy coach or whatever. Is that Remember the Titans?
Yeah.
The rampant anti-Semitism also led to the increased ghettoization of the Jewish population in Whitechapel, which is why conditions were so bad around the time of the Jack the Ripper murders. So there's that witness testimony, but there's another piece of evidence commonly cited against Kosminski. So when Catherine Eddowes was murdered, the same night as Elizabeth Stride, a silk shawl was alleged to be found beside her, stained with blood, and one of the officers took the shawl to give to his wife.
Gross.
Thinking she could use
that's
the
some real Whitechapel shit.
Yeah, that's
stealing the murder shawl. That's you're haunted for life.
I also remember that movie Harold and Kumar Go to Whitechapel. So.
I would love a time travel. They're bringing back Bill and Ted, but if they bring back Harold and Kumar and it's a time travel comedy where they go to the scenes of the Jack the Ripper killings, I am in. And also, in 1880, I think every shawl was probably a murder shawl. At least 90%.
I'll kill you with your shawl. Man.
So he gives it to his wife, and his wife, not being a ghoul, just put it in a box and never touched it.
Oh yeah, put that murder shawl away.
It's for special occasions, and the event just never came.
Yeah, in case you need to murder someone or be murdered.
Yeah.
Yeah, or your daughter's wedding.
Yeah.
I need a nice
the
shawl.
saying, something borrowed, something blue, something murder shawl, something new.
Something covered in the kidney of a murder victim. Did you see that? It had bits of kidney on it.
Yeah.
It had a tiny bit. The tiniest bit of kidney.
Just a little hint of kidney.
Just a little kidney bean.
So eventually the shawl ended up in the Scotland Yard Crime Museum in 1991. But then was put into storage for lack of evidence it actually belonged to Catherine Eddowes.
Ugh. Nobody puts murder shawl in a box,
Yeah, it's from that movie Slashdance.
Not what the reference is, but we're close.
Oh, wait. Oh, is that Dirty Dancing?
Yeah, Dirty Slashing? We're there.
I've never seen Dirty Slash. Oh, God, I don't care for that one.
I mean, that's should have been the name of Whitechapel. It's dirty,
and of course, Dirty
slashing.
Slashing 2,
Yeah.
Havana Nights.
Yeah, aww. That's a lot more slashing. Or just as much slashing. Just with an ethnic twist.
Yeah, just a little...
You know who's in Havana Nights? The guy from Star Wars.
Wait, which...
From Rogue One. The Hispanic dude?
Oh.
He's the main character in Dirty Dancing Havana Nights.
From Rogue One.
Yeah.
Oh, fuck, what is his name?
It's like Fabian or something. I know that's not...
I thought you were going to say Fabio.
It's like Fabio. It's like Fabio or something. No, but anyway, that's a Star Wars history.
I mean, we're also mostly that.
Yeah. What the hell is his name?
Fuck, we'll think of it.
Yep, keep going.
The main guy or...
The main guy.
Is it Diego Luna?
Yeah, Diego Luna is from Havana Nights, but I can't think of his character's name. I had such a crush on him. And then
Rogue One, it's Cassian Andor.
Cassian. I was close with Fabian. All right.
Yeah, we'll take it.
He's also, listeners, the guy who was in Game of Thrones, the Red Viper of Dorne. He's that dude.
He's dope.
Okay. Yeah, I just made that... This is me learning things about Hollywood stars night.
This is our Diego Luna podcast.
Yeah, it's called Looney for Luna. It's our little...
I'll die for Diego.
Yet this is
He's probably...
sponsored by Tiger Beat.
He's probably like 5'4".
I resent that.
5'10". 5'10", according to...
He's actually right in front of Zach right now.
We're comparing heights. He's in every episode. He just he doesn't want to draw the attention away from us.
Oh my god.
He's just a charmer.
I love the idea of a podcast where everything happens knowing a celebrity is just off screen. Sorry, we are so far off.
Oh god.
He almost talks
how most episodes
the whole time. Like they're just trying to bait Diego Luna into comment.
The number of times he opens his mouth, leans forward, and then just waves his hands like forget it.
Buy it, print it, make it. I love it.
I need that.
But it's called the Diego Luna Show.
Tellingly, he also never laughs.
No, he does not really enjoy the show all that much. He finds us disrespectful.
Yeah.
So,
anyway.
In 2007, after going back to a descendant of the Sutherland family, the shawl was bought at auction by Russell Edwards, an amateur sleuth.
And we could go ahead and infer that was Kiefer, probably.
Yes. An amateur sleuth who runs a Jack the Ripper tour and gift shop. Edwards brought the shawl to a man named Dr. and it's some German name, Dr. Harry Luchhelnen, whatever. A molecular biologist at a university in Liverpool. And the doctor isolated a blood sample and a sample of a different bodily fluid. So in 2014...
do you have to guess what the other bodily fluid was?
I mean, it's semen, but I didn't want to say it.
We're above that. We would never stoop.
Not on the Diego Luna show.
Look, not on this.
He won't have it.
So in 2014, the doctor announced that a comparison to DNA samples of a descendant of Catherine Eddowes showed that the blood on the scarf was a match for Eddowes, and that they found a match for the other sample to a descendant of Aaron Kosminski's sister. Edwards claims that this is the one piece of forensic evidence in the case and it seals it. But first of all, there's no chain of custody for the shawl that is 130 years old.
Nobody wants it.
Yeah.
Like, you take it. No, you take it.
And they certainly don't want to be known to have handled the fucking murder shawl.
It's the opposite of a will. You just pawn this off on somebody
They're
you
just
hate.
keeping their relatives alive so they don't have to inherit it.
I love that. I love the idea of, like, how classically for, like, weddings and bridal parties, like, you regift candles, and this murder shawl is that for wills. What the fuck am I going to do with this? I guess it's going to my least favorite niece.
I love that at a white elephant exchange where it's like, God, the murder shawl again! I knew it was in the snowman bag.
Can I trade this for, like, Blockbuster gift card? So
there's a sign behind the Blockbuster desk that says no murder shawls accepted.
So additionally, the DNA analysis claims have never been subject to peer review, and they originally appeared in the Daily Mail, which is barely a newspaper. Also, there is some dispute over whether the DNA marker used to identify Kosminski is one that is shared by 0.2% of people, or one that's shared by 99.2% of people.
Oh, what?
Yeah.
They just forgot to carry the one in that one?
There was like, I don't remember the technical term. It was like 515-3 or something like that. Some technical DNA bullshit. I don't know. That in the report, it was written one way, and other analysis claimed it was the more common marker rather than the more rare one that Edwards and Dr. Luhelen, German name, are claimed it was.
Every time you say Dr. German name, I do think of Joseph Mengele, just for reference.
So, Chief Constable, and this is maybe a more British phrase than Colney Hatch Lunatic Asylum, Chief Constable Sir Melville Leslie Macnaughton wrote a report in 1894 where he listed his three main suspects. Among those suspects, a man listed as Kosminski is described as having, quote, a great hatred of women, especially of the prostitute class, and had strong homicidal tendencies. He was removed to a lunatic asylum about March 1889. The problem here is that this doesn't describe Aaron Kosminski, as far as we can tell. Aaron Kosminski went to an asylum in 1891 and was never described as a threat to others during any of his years in custody. However, another inmate in Colney Hatch, in the records, went by the name David Cohen, definitively matches important details of Kosminski's profile. He lived in Whitechapel. He was treated for syphilis, ring the bell, in early 1888 in January, and the murders began in... This man, David Cohen, was taken to the asylum where he showed violent, antisocial, and destructive tendencies. And he was taken into custody 1 month after the murder of Mary Kelly, the last canonical victim, rather than almost 3 years after in the case of Aaron Kosminski. And it seems that David Cohen may have been a simplified name for a Jewish patient who couldn't speak English, or had a name who was too complicated for like the staffers to write down correctly. And as near as some researchers can tell, the real name of David Cohen was Nathan Kaminsky, which is close enough to Kosminski that it's definitely possible that a transcription error in someone's notes meant that Aaron Kosminski has been confused for centuries with Nathan Kaminsky, who... So
far, in the real stories, we have the story of 3 people who, like, had shitty, sad lives and never hurt anybody, probably, and then just got accused of some shit based on a coincidence.
Yeah, but I mean, also Nathan Kaminsky might be the one we actually vote on for the actual history. That's the real story of Aaron Kosminski and Nathan Kaminsky.
Or whatever other name they just slapped on him because it seemed hard to pronounce.
Yeah, David Cohen. That's easy enough for any English person.
Hello everybody, I'm JD Lopez, the host of Left Hand Right Brain. It's a free-flowing, wide-ranging conversation that I have with artists doing interesting and creative things here in Denver and beyond. We talk about their personal stories, break down their creative process, and what motivates them. Spoiler alert, it's mostly spite. We talk about all these things and more while kicking back, cracking wise, and always having a good time. You can find old episodes and everything you need to know at lefthandrightbrainpod.com.
This is from the perspective of Aaron Kosminski, which I don't know if you guys usually do, but here we are. This is his story. My name is Aaron Kosminski. I'm a 23-year-old Polish Jew from Kladowa, Poland. In 1881, I moved to the unlit, unwashed, unpoliced streets of Whitechapel with my 2 brothers and sister. One of my brothers was named Wolf.
That's
real. That's true. Real. I had to include it because you didn't. His name is Wolf. What?
I
Wolf
kind of forgot about that part.
It's rude.
It's kind of like it's kind of like the first time you see Fiddler on the Roof, and about 15 minutes in, there's just a character named Laser Wolf, and you're like, wait, what?
You're like, what?
And you're like, okay, like you watch the rest of the musical not knowing, and that's how they get you because it's an amazing show. But also, Laser Wolf gets butts into seats.
Laser Wolf gets butts. It sounds like a wolf they send out during intermission to make everybody sit down.
He has a little vest on.
Oh, he's cute.
He's really just more of a big husky.
Ow. Laser Wolf. All right. I'll get a husky. Between 1888 and 1891, Whitechapel was a horrible place. Beer was cleaner than water. Beds were more expensive than the prostitutes in them. Pay for sex, get a bed free was the law of the land. I was a hairdresser back then, trimming up the lads' beards and the ladies' beards.
I really want to put some like noir music under this.
During my 20s, there were 11 murders in Whitechapel. They attribute 5 of those murders to a man called Jack the Ripper, the most infamous serial killer in England's history. They say, I'm that Jack.
You couldn't see this. Rachel just put a cigarette out on her hand.
The bitch of it is, I'm not. I didn't murder Marianne Nicholas or Annie Chapman. I didn't murder Elizabeth Stride or Catherine Eddowes or Mary Kelly. But I did commit the other 6 murders in Whitechapel. And frankly, I deserve credit for it. I killed the other 6. Fuck Jack. He only killed 5. He killed 5 people. But he's such a fucking show off. He has to go and tear their guts out and everything. Talk about overkill. All right. I had to do it. I was gonna not, and then I was like, nah, Aaron would love it. That's his name.
Loves trying to go for the crowd work.
Yeah. I was clearly the better murderer, but nobody cared. He was the Neil Armstrong to my Buzz Aldrin, the Kim to my Chloe, to Honey Nut Cheerios to my Frosted Flakes.
What time period is he speaking in right now?
Now, he's a ghost living between us. Between the cracks.
What's that Kevin Spacey American
Beauty?
Fucking won the Oscar? American Beauty situation.
Yeah. Nah, he haunts the murder shawl, for sure. He goes where the shawl goes.
I just picture like
mostly boxes.
A camera spanning a museum, and then it stops on the shawl. Shawl's like, probably wondering how I got here.
I am a little. I was
spooky.
I was hoping at the very beginning of your presentation that you would do the classic, like, and now I'm in Fitzgreeley Sampson Lunatic Asylum, and I'll bet you're wondering, how did I get here? Let's go back 5 months.
I've been wandering these streets for a long time. I don't remember.
As far back as I can remember, I always wanted to be implicated in 5 murders.
6! I deserve my 6.
Sometimes Rachel gets this look in her eyes that makes you believe she is capable of 6 murders.
Oh, I'm haunted by the murder shawl, which is haunted by Aaron Kosminski. Murder Shawl wrote. All right, that's almost so close. Keep moving. I was supposed to be England's most infamous serial killer. I was supposed to get my mugshot in the history books next to a dead prostitute. Mac the Clipper, they would call me. Because I clipped him toes off.
Oh, no.
Or Zack the Flipper, perhaps. Because I hung them upside down or something. Or maybe I just steal their ears. I don't know.
He flipped houses was the other
thing. It's hard to develop a it's hard to develop a calling card when another guy is stealing all your lamplight. Of which there were one lamp in all of Whitechapel. Important information, super easy to murder when there are no lamps. I actually knew Jack. We went to the same synagogue.
Oh, no.
I would even go so far to say we were friends, especially as kids. Who could fit more marshmallows in their mouth? Who could drink a pint the fastest? Who could kill the most cats?
Oh, no.
And he always beat me. And everything we did.
Mm-hmm.
It was his idea to trap the neighbor kid in a death shed because he could read. It was his idea to cut the wings off a parakeet and see how far they could fly without him. He was good at that stuff.
I bet not far.
Their bodies are meant for flying, like you'd think.
If you give them a little head start, they can go.
It's like darts.
30 feet.
He's got a tail with a little tail. Who knows? Somebody should do it and tell me about it. No pictures. Okay. It wasn't my idea. It was Jack the Ripper's in my fake story.
Somebody should do it.
Mythbusters. Can a parakeet fly further without the wings?
Yeah, on Investigation Discovery. Yeah.
Both of the Mythbuster guys are just covered in bird blood. They're like, no, not at all.
And then the narrator comes on
That's the whole thing.
This myth was featured in the podcast, The Revisionists.
He was good at that stuff. He was, he was creative. But I killed 6 people that year, and he only killed 5. So finally, I should have won.
Mm.
But then he cut the tits off that hoe, and that's all the newspapers cared about.
Zoinks.
I'm a murderer. Are you zoinksing tits or hoe?
I mean, honestly, both.
I mean, probably cut the tits off the hoe. The whole package is the problem. Look, I don't know. He's just not as bad as everyone says, When I got sent to Colney Hatch after yanking one in front of a police dog, he sent me a latke basket.
One, that sounds delicious.
Right? A basket of latkes? Yeah. Or is it a basket made out of latkes? I'm interested
it's like a
in
sourdough
both.
Bread bowl.
Right?
It's just full of sour cream.
I could end the story there.
Yeah,
and then he invented the latke basket, and that's the end of the story. He busted out of the prison or the insane asylum, and now he's the famed creator of the latke basket, and also England's most infamous serial killer. It's like, how do you separate the art from the artist?
Exactly.
Can I still enjoy a latke basket if he killed 7 people, 6 people?
I mean, I don't condone it, but on the other hand, we can now analyze the latke basket in a different way.
Like, it's public domain now, right?
Right. If you illegally download the latke basket, that makes it fine, I think.
The question is, can you 3D print a latke basket? That's what we're doing.
Oh, man.
We got
now
good
I
ideas
put
on here.
potatoes in a 3D printer.
Until one day, Jack arrived on our front stoop. Turns out if you kill 5 people, they'll send you to an insane asylum. Mm. He showed up, and he was sick, He needed a friend. He arrived looking for me with a latke basket and Diego Luna at his side. No.
Oh, wow.
And we rekindled our friendship. You know, it's two murderous lunatics bonded together.
Oh, Lunatics, also the name of Diego Luna's fan base.
Yeah. Oh, I love it. What? I'm getting lunatic tattooed on my forehead. Is that whose Twitter handle is that? Because if it's not his, he's fucked up. So lunatic people who are like shaped by the moon, is it based in is it like a
that
Latin
is
thing?
Where it comes from. I don't know like at what point in history we derived that.
I think people used to believe that the full moon caused erratic behavior. It's the same thing that inspired werewolves to be a...
That's what happens when... Oh, no. When werewolves get bugs, you know? They're called lunatics. All right. I gotta give them lunatic medicine. Lunatic and flea. Jesus.
God damn it.
Focus. Now... The doctors told me I was a schizophrenic, delusional, paranoid, and incoherent, but I thought, not if Jack's around. A man with a friend is never insane.
Okay.
Yeah, you know that saying.
Yeah, if you have one friend, you're fine.
I think that's at that card at the end of It's a Wonderful Life. Always remember, a man with a friend is never insane.
I just remember...
and then he thanked an angel for saving his life.
A parakeet gets its wings back.
Yeah, I remember when Jimmy Stewart opens that card and a piece of kidney falls out of it.
Oh, God.
Also, he's apparently at Diego Luna _
What?
Yeah.
I'm sure Ad Lunatic is taken, but...
I'm sure somebody's sitting on
Lunatic?
that fucking nice... Yeah.
I couldn't find it, actually. It might be available.
Oh my God. If this hasn't been taken by September 15th when this comes out, I will be disappointed in the pun masters of the world. He's got like 2 films, so I don't know how many lunatics are out there. Okay, focus. I love you, Diego.
I mean, Diego has that effect on people.
So in the asylum, Jack and Diane, Jack and Aaron bonded. You know, their friendship had splintered after the wager.
Sure.
You know, when you have a summer and the winner doesn't win, Aaron got pissed. I'm schizophrenic. I'm changing my tone. I believed that a higher power was speaking to me, that it controlled my actions, that it claimed the movements of all of us around me, including Jack, including the people we killed together. And I was overwhelmed by the capacity of the control in our lives. So I stopped cleaning myself. And I stopped entirely. I stopped washing. I stopped taking food from anyone. I started eating out of the gutter primarily because it seemed cleaner than the food they were giving us at the asylum.
Yeah.
You know, they served it just directly out of a gutter. You guys have buffets. They have gutter lines.
The gutter is nature's golden corral.
It is. But in the asylum, we encouraged each other and we grew. And in truth, we became lovers. Jack and I, we had violent flavors about each other that made for incredible sex, and we murdered 7 or 8 imbeciles together in the asylum, and I felt justified because there was a higher power controlling us. We were brought together. You know, by the universe and a latke basket. And it ran our life. But then the shank was invented. And
oh, of course, by Dr. Cornelius Schenck.
Dr. Cornelius Schenck, who was a member of the Colney Hatch Imbeciles. He played on the baseball team. He was pretty good. He invented the shank. And that was too much for old Jack, you know.
Mm.
He didn't like ideas being thrown around that weren't his own, and he snuck in on Cornelius, and he tried to rip him, you know, but how can you compete with somebody who's got a knife and you just got your rippers, you know, like He needed
so just means hands.
Just his hands.
Oh, wow.
Right?
Okay.
He was a ripper. He wasn't a stabber or he was a ripper.
Yeah.
He was a slicing man. He wasn't, or a ripping man. He wasn't made for the age of slicers.
So whenever someone said the phrase "the greatest thing since sliced bread," he kind of got a little wistful.
He hated it, because he was like, "What about ripped bread?" I think we were all fine with ripped bread.
It's a very disorderly sandwich.
You don't have to. He's like, I like my sandwiches torn. It's easier to eat out of the gutter. It's fistfuls of bread. And
that was the name of his autobiography.
Yeah.
Fistfuls of bread.
Puddles of blood. Fistfuls of bread.
And of course, for a few fistfuls more. No, that's a different. I had the joke wrong. Anyway, I'm editing that.
Said, "This is your body broken for me." That's what he said.
Try the good, the bread, and the ugly.
The good, the bread, and the ugly. Jack came after Cornelius. He wasn't a fan of the new era. He said, "Men don't need knives. Real men rip." And Cornelius stabbed the fuck out of him.
Rip is how this story ends.
Yeah. Cornelius really got him. Really stabbed him. Turns out, knives so much better than ripping. They really, really did a number on old Jack. And as Jack lay dying with the blood of Cornelius almost on his hands, couldn't quite break the skin. They keep your nails cut in the asylum. Couldn't get in there, He whispered, "You met me at a very strange time in my life." And then he got on a bus and he went away. In the end...
Bleeding.
Yeah, bleeding. Yeah, for sure. Yeah, so stabbed. In the end, though, Jack died a great villain. He's shrouded in mystery, which some say was his greatest achievement. Mm-hmm. And I died of gangrene in the Metropolitan Asylum for chronic imbeciles. So. But I killed 6 people, so I want that to be clear. Yeah. Thank you. With a knife. Thank you very much. Yeah.
Rachel, thank you.
That's the story of Aaron Kosminski. My goodness.
Listeners, I just want to take a minute to plug another show on the Denver Podcast Network, and that's the Denver Pizza Podcast. The show that's committed to trying every single pizza in Denver. And
every single pizza chain, not every single.
Oh no, they're stealing slices of pizza sure. They're intercepting pizzas.
No one's had a slice of pizza in Denver.
Napping slices. Yeah.
I'm surprised it's not a bigger story, but with all this shit going on in DC, I guess it just got overlooked.
Well, the thing is, they pinned it on the Noid for a while.
Yeah, that's hard.
What the fuck? Denver Pizza Podcast. Listen to it. As for us listeners, we ask that you review us on your podcast service of choice: Apple, Stitcher, Google Play, TuneIn, all them shits.
Jack the Stitcher. It's the opposite of Jack the Ripper. He's a doctor.
Yeah,
he went the right way.
That marketing scheme in 1889 did not work great. Sorry. Also, you can always ask us a question or leave us a comment on our website, revisionistpodcast.com, or on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, Tumblr for some reason. And Rachel, you host We Still Like You, which is one of the best shows.
Yeah, it's my favorite. It's every second Wednesday at 8 o'clock on the Comedy Room. We tell stories that we're ashamed about, and the crowd shouts, "We still like you." It's dope.
Yeah, it's a fantastic show. Also, Pussy Bros.
Yeah, we have a monthly showcase. It's me and comedians Christy Buckley and Janae Burris. And our show is on last Saturday at the Black Buzzard at 10 p.m. Awesome. We've got our next show is September 29th. We've got the hilarious Maggie May headlining. So come hang out with us. That's going to be an awesome show. And that's such a good venue. And yeah, they're the best. Always check out whatever Pussy Bros are doing. As for me, listeners,
My new show, Know Your Shit, will actually be the night this comes out.
All right.
So if you're really on top of it, you can still get down. You can buy tickets in advance and just find Know Your Shit on Facebook. Or just show up at Comedy Room at 8 o'clock. And I also co-host Queen City Companion, which is an all-fall storytelling show at Mutiny Information Cafe the first Thursday of every month. 8 o'clock, come check that out, because that's such a delight. And then, Zach, you're leading the charge on our voting initiative.
Yeah, for the few episodes up until November. This one's coming out September the 15th, and most states have a voter registration cutoff about a month before the election, so you are running out of time if you have not already registered to vote. I would strongly suggest you go to usa.gov/register to vote.
Yes.
Or usa.glove.
Yeah.
If the glove doesn't fit.
That link should probably be in our show notes. Also, if you want a little bit more full tool that I found, even though it's run by a competitor podcast, is Vote Save America, because they do have sample ballots for different states and more information about where your polling place will be and how to get there and volunteer if you feel so inclined. So like I said, you have very little time left to do this, and if your state has processing times, waiting until October is a shitty idea. So do it now.
Yeah. There's no penalty for doing it early. So do it. Speaking of voting, when this episode drops, that means voting is now open in our effort to determine who is Jack the Ripper. So the way I want to encourage people to vote is by becoming supporters via our Patreon page, because you will get the ability to vote not just in the Jack the Ripper episodes, but in all episodes. So that's really cool. I'm going to retake that. So do that. And if that is just not in the cards for you right now, totally understandable. You can cast a vote by going to revisionistpodcast.com, going to the contact page, and just sending us a message with your vote for who is Jack the Ripper. Whether we'll put a poll up.
You got options.
You got plenty of options. Rachel, thank you for being here.
Of course. Thanks for having me back on.
Yeah, absolutely. Zach, thank you as always.
Of course.
Diego, of course. Thank you for being here.
He's nodding. He's nodding.
Yeah.
He's just so bashful. I love it. But for everyone here at The Revisionists, I'm Brian Flynn.
I'm Zach Powers.
Have a good time.
Thought Diego was going to chime in there at the end, but no.
Oh, I know. He can't do it. He's too shy. It's weird because he's a star.